Now, the rest of the story.
All right, it's the end of the day, and there's a whole lot of a little bit of everything going on. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm sure you can see it. The wind is starting to pick up now, but we got a pretty good storm system on its way yet again. This will be day 3. Last night we got just shy of 8 inches of rain over like a 12, 14 hour period. It started at 7 o'clock last night, and it was still raining at 10 o'clock this morning. So, yeah, anything with the gravel driveway is pretty much wrecked. And once again, I did go through and fix it quick yesterday because we had to haul some hay up my driveway. So really quick, you know, as quick as I can, the end is missing off of the unloading auger. So this is the outer auger. This was replaced 2, possibly 3 years ago. And as you can see, it does have some of that crimping, waving going on. Depends on who you are and how you want to describe it. Really surprised that that's doing that already for how old this auger is. I mean, the thickness is fine. It's not anywhere remotely close to being sharp. But after taking this out, the outside bearing here and the bearing in this carrier aren't exactly terrible by any means. I could probably get that out. But here's the thing. I don't want to see this auger again anytime soon. It's gonna lock up on me. And even though these are only 2 or 3 years old, it's worth the little bit it's going to take to, or a little bit of money it's going to take to replace these bearings. Come on. But like you said, they're fairly new. This auger shaft really isn't all that bad. But no, this one is bad. That one's not bad. So I need to get this off of here regardless. Combine in general it's winding down. There we go. So hex shaft, the bearing, not terrible, not outstanding either. Just gotta break it loose, spin it, and bring it out sideways through here, and that'll be fine. This is the inner auger that you've heard me talk about a few times. She's sharp. I mean, if I take my thumb and I run it down across there with any amount of pressure, it'll slice my finger open. So this will mean that all the augers from the vertical all the way out to the farther horizontal auger will be new or new adjacent. I mean, that one is not to the point of justifying a new one, but it'll run for a few years. Especially now we're running more corn and beans through the machine. So yeah, I think I speak for everybody here. We're ready to be done looking at the combine. I got to go through. You guys are wondering what Ryan's fuel filter looks like on his truck. Looks like he was a little curious about it. Got to go through and clean this bench up again. After a big job, like working on that combine, tools just fly. So, be completely honest with you, I'm not entirely 100% sure where this shield comes off of. I mean, I'm pretty certain it's off of that the rod going from alongside the cab back to control the rear spreaders, those 2 spinners that are spinning. You can actually control the speed of them from up by the cab. You just got to open that door up. We're looking, and we're not 100% certaintied where it goes, but I do know, I mean, I know that the rubber piece that it connects to is from here, because the other missing part of this is onto that that rod. But before we find out where this goes, I got to go through. Got some stress, wear and tear fractures going on here and here. So what I'll end up doing is just hitting them on the wire brush, shining them up, and I'm gonna do just a simple little weld melt job to it. I'll just heat it up with the torch and get this red hot to where the metal turns into a liquid without any braze, without anything else, and I will literally just reconnect that and weld that back together. Not ideal, I'm sure, for some people, but I have a piece on the top link for the 3-point on my 7600 that did exactly that. It was just stress fracture from the top link moving back and forth on it, and it just had a small crack. So I went ahead and, oh yeah, I got my camera. I went ahead and just welded it back up like I just told you and painted it. So you can see the weld right through there, hardly noticeable. Almost looks like I'm a professional fixing it. So good enough that passes my quality approval. I got to go through on here yet. I got to pull this apart. I got new plates for here, for this clutch. There are some metal plates in there I did not order. They didn't have them. I could have ordered them, but I chose not to. And I'm gonna put the regular plates back in, but the metal plates that are in there, unless they're nice and shiny and partially showing some warping, I'm not going to do anything with them. But I do need to get some of the wear items for that baler around here. First and foremost, I need to go and get some more of those plates, put them in the parts bin, and also, it feels like it's pushing on me. And also, there's that shaft that goes from that center gearbox, and it goes across, over, and drives those chains on the side of the machine, drives the whole machine. We've broken that twice now in the last, about once every 1.5 to 2 years, and it's an expensive item, but I think it's one of those that's going to be worth having around. But cash flow is tight right now. That's the absolute disgusting part right now, is that ooh, it's getting dark back there. The money's there, it's all on paper. So this is the old shaft. We kept this just in case we wanted to go through and convert this baler back to 540, because we took this one out, and I believe it's a shorter one. I think it's shorter over here, and we flipped that gearbox around, so it's actually going from the 1,000 RPM from the tractor into the gearbox, and then from the gearbox it's actually going slower coming out the side for the baler. I prefer it that way. It seems like the tractors, it just seems like you have more torque. I'm not going to sit and talk on that, but also it did, because we have the 4640 and the 8235 that neither have a 540 RPM unless we did an adapter on them, which I really don't want to do, because then you're running the tractor at idle. You had to run them at a slower speed just to run the baler. So at least this way, in the past, I don't think since I've been doing YouTube, I don't think I've ever had the 46 on the baler. It was on the disc bind last year, but it's just simpler if you can try to keep all your implements running on the same power takeoff. I mean, the 4020 is pretty limited as far as what can all run. I had it on that Rhino 4155 cutting corn stalks a couple years ago, basically just to prove that she could do it. And yes, going slow, ooh, it's raining now, the 4020 could handle it, but you're not exactly making any land speed records. And for anybody that, all my ag viewers know that when it comes to spring field work and fall field work, time is money, and you can't really afford to take 2 or 3 days to cut up your corn stalks you're planning on baling that I could do in 1 day with the 7600. My plan is, my goal is to someday, and we're going to start getting more equipment around here. I mean, we're getting our ducks in a row, and as far as the different sources of income that we have, definitely starting to look around for equipment a little bit more seriously anymore. So I don't want to sit and talk about money. But what happens with this shaft, or at least the one that we currently have, it breaks in this weld here, and it breaks this shaft off flush. I could go through and weld it up if I got really desperate, and believe me, I'm not above, say if it broke on like a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday and parts are like 4 or 5 days away, I'm not above going, you know, heck with it and welding it up and crossing my fingers and hoping for the best. So yeah, still got this just in case. The chances of us converting that baler back to a 540 are slim to none, but stranger things have happened. So I don't know. Oh. Yeah, the weather is really hurting us. We have 60 acres of hay that is not cut. We do not have anything on the ground. Nothing got rained on that has been cut, and it's been raining for the last week. This whole past week, it's rained the whole week. We went through, we had everything baled up, raked, baled up, and off the field. Well, we just pulled the last of the stuff off the field at Ryan's place yesterday, but we don't have any bales out other than like 2, which are like a non-starter. And then we have 60 acres of hay still standing. Do we want to get them cut? Absolutely. This upcoming week, I know this is Sunday night, the last, starting yesterday, and for the next week, which Mother Nature has done this to me before, we're supposed to have 6 or 7 days of dry weather. At the very least, partly sunny to mostly sunny, or just completely clear, and a bunch of days in the 80s. Now I got 30 acres that the chances of me making that at this point are kind of slim, but there's another 30 acres that if we have the weather forecast they're projecting, 3 days or so in the 70s and 80s, get the ground to firm up a bit, and then I could see at least trying to get that much made. So we'd be down to just 30 acres of hay left to make. The goal is still to try to be done before harvest. If the last 30 acres has to wait until harvest, or I got to go and cut it on a slow day or something, but everything will get made if the conditions permit. So you guys be along for that too. So I'm gonna I gotta go home because that hits before I get home. I drove home in some pretty nasty stuff last night, so did Brittany. So I hope everybody avoided any too much. All right, let me slow down here. I hope everybody avoided any of the too terrible of weather, and everything kind of smooths out here from here on out. So until next time, take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys next time.